So, um, what is the true cost of a five-star reputation?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right. I mean, when you're looking at those little stars gleaming on a checkout page, is it just like a spontaneous round of applause for good customer service?
We'd all like to think so.
Yeah. Or is there this hidden, really high-stakes financial engine driving the reviews you're reading every single day?
Well, I can tell you that spontaneous applause is actually a carefully managed asset.
Exactly.
Because, we naturally assume that a great product just generates great reviews and that the rating we see is this simple, unvarnished tally of public opinion.
But it's not.
No, not at all. The machinery required to actually collect, authenticate, manage, and display those stars. It's a massive, highly regulated industry.
Which perfectly sets up our mission for today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We are looking at a pretty massive stack of sources today.
Oh, yeah. Lots of documentation.
Yeah, we've got official pricing documents and strict usage guidelines directly from TrustPilot, plus Better Business Bureau accreditation standards.
And we're also pulling in user review comparisons from G2, along with some really critical pricing breakdowns from industry analysts over at WiserView and SocialPilot.
Right. And our goal here is to basically decode the complex
Yeah.
and honestly often completely hidden reality of online review platforms, specifically TrustPilot,
And we are coming at this from two very distinct professional angles.
which I think is going to make this fun.
Definitely. I'll be approaching this from the perspective of a business consultant. So I'm looking at the bottom line operational costs, scalability, and actual return on investment.
And I'll be taking the marketing specialist side. Because, optics matter. Brand trust is a totally tangible asset.
It absolutely is.
So we have to weigh the absolute necessity of consumer trust against the actual price tag these platforms charge for it. Like, just imagine you've just launched your own e-commerce store.
Okay.
You're trying to figure out how to stretch your initial capital. Do you spend a massive chunk of it buying a digital trust badge, or do you try to build trust organically?
That's the core dilemma.
Right. But before we can even really debate the price tag of these platforms, we have to understand the incredibly strict rules of the game they force businesses to play.
Which makes sense because a reputation is only as valuable as its authenticity. Right.
Exactly.
If consumers don't trust the platform's rules of engagement, those little stars mean absolutely nothing. So we have to look at how a platform actually regulates its data.
Okay, let's unpack this. Think of collecting online reviews like hosting a town hall meeting for your business.
I love that analogy.
From a pure marketing perspective, your first instinct is to only hand the microphone to the people who are already, nodding and smiling in the front row.
Of course, you want to showcase your wins.
Right. But if you only invite the people who already agree with you, it's not really a town hall anymore.
No, at that point, it's just a highly curated PR stunt.
Exactly. And TrustPilot's guidelines are explicitly designed to dismantle that exact PR stunt. They enforce these totally non-negotiable rules for how a business is allowed to invite customers to review them.
It's actually pretty intense when you dig into the documentation.
It really is. You are required to invite all genuine customers to leave a review. And if you can't do that for some logistical reason, you have to use a strictly impartial method.
Like what?
Well, for example, you're only allowed to email every third customer, regardless of what they bought or what their actual experience was.
So no cherry picking whatsoever.
Zero cherry picking allowed. And if you think you can, sweeten the deal to boost your response rate, think again. That is completely off the table.
Right, no incentives.
Exactly. Offering incentives, whether that's a 10% discount code, a free sample, a refund, or even just entry into a monthly prize draw, is strictly banned.
What's fascinating here is how that strict neutrality directly mirrors the foundational standards set by the Better Business Bureau.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, when you look at BB's accreditation standards, two of their absolute primary pillars are building trust and advertising honestly.
Okay, that tracks.
Yeah, so TrustPilot is essentially taking those broad BBB principles and operationalizing them into hard software rules. The BBB mandates that businesses honestly represent their products, right?
Right.
TrustPilot enforces this by making sure the feedback loop just cannot be financially manipulated by the merchant.
That makes total sense. And speaking of manipulation, there is this specific phrase detailed in our sources that TrustPilot explicitly forbids businesses from using in their automated emails.
Oh, the conditional filter.
Yes, it is the ultimate marketing filter, and it usually goes something like this. If you are happy with our services, please review us on TrustPilot. If not, please contact our customer support.
Banning that specific phrasing is honestly a masterclass in data integrity.
I mean, as a marketer, it hurts, but I get it.
Think about the mechanics of what that phrase actually does, though. It artificially filters all the negative feedback out of the public eye.
Yeah, it redirects the angry customer to a private inbox, basically burying the complaint.
Exactly, while simultaneously funneling only the happy, satisfied customers to the public-facing review page. So by banning that conditional logic, TrustPilot forces the business to take the good with the bad publicly.
Because balanced feedback is the only thing that actually builds lasting credibility with a sophisticated consumer.
Right. And they go even further to ensure that credibility. TrustPilot requires reviewers to create an actual verified user profile to leave a review.
And see, as a marketer, I despise that kind of friction.
I'm sure you do.
Every extra click you ask a consumer to make drops the conversion rate. I just want a customer to click 5 stars in an email and be done with it. Forcing them to create an account, verify an email address, and log in. It just creates this massive obstacle course. Why mandate that friction?
Well, that friction is the primary defense mechanism against fake reviews. Think about the operational security required to maintain a global trust platform.
I guess you need some way to verify they're real people.
Exactly. Those registered profiles allow TrustPilot's compliance team to directly contact a reviewer and request documentation, like a receipt or an order number, if a business flags a review as fraudulent.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Furthermore, it allows the customer to log back in to edit or delete their review if the business actually reaches out and resolves their complaint. You just can't have a verifiable, trustworthy ecosystem based on anonymous, untraceable data points.
Okay, so the rules are pretty draconian, but they ensure the badge actually means something. And honestly, the pitch to businesses is incredibly enticing at first glance.
Because of the free tier?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyone can leave a review for free, and businesses can claim their TrustPilot profile for free. You just undergo domain verification, meaning you prove you actually own the website, and then you claim your page.
And you can reply to incoming reviews, right?
Yeah, you can reply, and you can send up to 50 automated invitations a month to your customers. It sounds like an incredible tool for $0.
It functions as an incredible tool only until you calculate your actual transaction volume.
Uh-oh. Consultant mode activated?
Well, I mean, 50 automated invites a month is a microscopic allowance. Consider the math for a second.
Okay.
If you're running a boutique side hustle, maybe selling custom leather wallets, and you only process a dozen orders a month, that free tier works perfectly.
Sure.
But if you're a growing e-commerce brand processing 100 orders a day, that free tier is completely exhausted by lunchtime on the first day of the month.
Which forces the business into a corner. You basically have to scale up your software to match your sales volume.
Exactly.
And that transition is where the free ride abruptly ends and the real financial commitments begin. So let's dissect the hidden reality of their pricing model.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Because this transition from the free tier to the paid tier is exactly where the marketer's dream of building brand equity collides head-on with the operational reality of managing cash flow.
So you max out your 50 free invites, and you logically look at TrustPilot's entry-level paid option, which is the Pluses plan. The advertised rate starts at $299 a month, or $269 depending on your region. And upgrading to Plus bumps your allowance up to 200 automated monthly invitations.
Still not a massive amount for a busy store.
True, but it also gives you 3 user logins for your internal team and unlocks 8 different website widgets, which TrustPilot calls trust boxes.
Ah, the trust boxes.
Yeah, these are those dynamic little displays you can embed right next to the Add to Cart button to show off your star rating. They're huge for conversion.
And if you outgrow the Plus plan,
then you're looking at their enterprise tier, which operates on custom pricing negotiated directly with their sales team.
and what does that unlock?
Enterprise unlocks unlimited review invitations, AI-driven review responses to help your customer service team work faster, full API access, and unlimited user logins.
We should probably clarify what API access actually means in this context because it's a massive selling point.
Good idea. So API access basically means your checkout software can literally talk directly to TrustPilot servers without a human ever intervening. The second a customer hits buy on your website, your system securely tells TrustPilot to start a countdown timer, automatically emailing that specific customer 3 days later to ask for a review.
Which removes human error entirely and ensures you are fully compliant with those strict neutrality guidelines we discussed earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I can tell you're looking at these tier upgrades with a very critical eye right now.
I am, because the advertised pricing really obscures the actual financial commitment.
How so?
Well, the marketing materials highlight $299 a month, right?
Yeah.
But reading the fine print reveals these plans are absolutely not month-to-month subscriptions. They require a strict 12-month prepaid commitment.
Wait, prepaid, so you can't just like test the software for a single quarter to see if those trust boxes actually boost your holiday sales conversion rate?
Not at all. You are locking in for a full year, and you are paying that entire annual fee up front.
Oh, wow.
That means the Baseline Pluses plan is draining roughly $3,500 from your cash flow on day one.
That's a huge hit.
For a small business, a $3,500 upfront gamble isn't just some casual marketing expense. It's a significant capital allocation. And the financial mechanics get even heavier when you realize that pricing is structured strictly per domain.
Break down that per domain billing for me, because if I'm a marketing director overseeing a parent company that operates, say, 3 different regional websites.
You are paying that annual fee 3 separate times.
You're kidding.
I'm not. If you operate a .com for your American market, a .co.uk for Britain, and a .k for Canada, you are buying 3 entirely separate subscriptions.
So that $3,500 upfront cost just ballooned to over $10,000.
Exactly. But the paywalls don't even stop at the domain level. Crucial operational tools that growing businesses actually require are often locked behind extra paid add-on modules.
Like what? What essential features are they paywalling?
One major feature is Google Seller Ratings integration, which is what allows your TrustPilot stars to actually show up inside your paid Google search ads.
Well, that's a massive feature for a marketer.
Yep. Another paywalled feature is advanced analytics. But perhaps the most frustrating one for traditional retailers is location-based reviews.
Meaning brick-and-mortar stores.
Right. If you're a franchise operating 20 different physical stores, the basic paid plans do not offer multi-location support. You cannot easily separate the reviews for the downtown store from the suburban store.
So you have to pay extra just to see which store is performing better.
You have to pay extra for a specific location module or jump to a drastically more expensive custom tier just to manage your different physical branches properly.
That is wild.
And to compound the financial risk, these contracts auto-renew. Our sources indicate that if you do not formally cancel weeks in advance of your renewal date, you are locked in for another full year. Billed up front again.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. I hear you detailing all those costs, and I completely understand the operational anxiety of a forced annual contract. But I have to push back hard on this.
Okay, let's hear it.
You're looking purely at the expense sheet, but you have to look at the revenue generation.
Make the case for tying up that much capital, then.
The TrustPilot brand name is absolutely worth that steep upfront premium.
Is it, though?
Yes. We are talking about a platform utilized by over 1.17 million businesses globally. Consumers implicitly recognize that green star logo. It carries massive psychological weight.
I'll grant you the recognition factor.
Right. When I embed one of those TrustBox widgets directly on my checkout page, right where the customer is experiencing peak buying anxiety, that logo is a massive conversion driver.
Okay, I see your point.
I'm not just paying for a software tool to send automated emails. I am buying a license to borrow TrustPilot's immense brand equity to validate an unknown product. The increase in completed checkouts easily pays for the $3,500 subscription.
That is the textbook marketing argument, and I'll admit the conversion lift from a recognized trust badge is certainly a real phenomenon.
Yeah.
But you have to consider the operational reality and the risk profile.
What's the risk if it converts?
The risk is you're tying up thousands of dollars up front before you have tracked a single converted lead from those specific widgets. What if your particular demographic just doesn't care about the TrustPilot brand? What if your product is so niche that you exhaust your 200 monthly invites on the Plus plan, but your response rate is so low that you still aren't generating enough reviews to make the widget look impressive anyway?
That would be a problem.
A huge problem. You've sunk the capital, and you have zero agility to pivot to a different marketing strategy for 12 full months.
Yeah, you're talking about a $3,500 upfront gamble. And you are right. For small or medium-sized business, a gamble that big isn't just a line item. It's an existential threat.
Exactly.
And when the financial stakes get that high, businesses are forced to look for loopholes or alternatives, which is exactly how disruptors entered the market.
It logically forces us to look at the competitor landscape.
Right, because we have to ask, is TrustPilot a monopoly on trust? Or do viable alternatives exist that offer a better return on investment?
Viable alternatives absolutely exist, and the data comparing them is highly revealing. Let's examine FIFO, for example.
Oh, you FIFO.
Based on user review comparisons pulled from G2, which, by the way, is a major software review platform itself, FIFO sits at an impressive 4.6-star user rating.
Wow. And what about TrustPilot?
TrustPilot, by comparison, sits at a 3.4.
Wait, really? The premium review platform is getting reviewed poorly by its own paying users. That is a fascinating bit of irony.
It really is.
What is driving that massive gap in user satisfaction?
The disparity basically comes down to core utility and customer support. FIFO starts at a much lower price point, around $149 a month, and small business users heavily praise FIFO for its autonomous functionality.
How does that autonomous functionality actually work mechanically, though?
Well, instead of relying heavily on manual CSV uploads of customer email lists, FIFO integrates really smoothly with sales databases to automatically fetch buyer data and trigger review requests.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, once it's set up, the administrative burden is incredibly low. Furthermore, FIFO gets incredibly high marks for their dedicated customer support teams.
Which I'm guessing TrustPilot does not.
Not according to G2. TrustPilot users frequently penalize the platform for unresponsive customer service and a significantly more labor-intensive setup process.
Okay, so FIFO is definitely a strong contender for the mid-market.
Mm.
But if we were talking about maximum utility and really stretching a tight budget, I have to introduce the ultimate budget disruptor from our source stack, SocialPilot.
Oh, the SocialPilot reviews platform completely reframes what a business should expect for their money.
It totally changes the entire financial equation because SocialPilot starts at just $25.50 a month.
That's a massive difference from $3,500 up front.
Right. And it offers something that TrustPilot fundamentally lacks by design: multi-platform management.
Let's clearly define why multi-platform management matters from a daily workflow perspective, because this is crucial.
Gladly. So TrustPilot's biggest structural limitation is that TrustPilot only manages TrustPilot reviews. You pay them thousands of dollars up front, and they give you a beautiful dashboard that only looks at their specific website. But your customers do not just live in the TrustPilot ecosystem.
Not even close.
They are complaining in the comments on your Facebook ads, they're leaving 5 stars on your Google business profile, they're ranting on Yelp, and they're posting photos of your product on TripAdvisor. Managing TrustPilot alone is like staring through a peephole at your front door.
While your customers are simultaneously knocking on the back door and all the windows.
Exactly.
Which creates a massive blind spot if all your capital and attention are tied up in one isolated platform.
Right. So SocialPilot is like installing a multi-camera security system that lets you see the front door, the back alley, and the driveway all at once.
That's a great way to put it.
It allows a business to manage Google, Facebook, Yelp, and TripAdvisor from one single centralized dashboard. You can monitor the incoming reviews across all those sites, type out your replies, and publish them without ever leaving the SocialPilot window.
Which saves a ton of time. Huge time saver. Furthermore, you can even schedule your daily social media marketing post from the exact same tool. For $25.50 a month, you are managing your entire digital footprint, not just renting one specific badge.
And if we connect this multi-platform approach to the bigger picture of business stability, owning your reputation across multiple networks provides infinitely more operational security than creating a single point of failure by relying entirely on TrustPilot.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Consider the volatility of search engines. If a major Google algorithm update suddenly decides to prioritize native Google reviews over third-party review sites in their search results.
Which happens all the time.
Exactly. The business using SocialPilot is perfectly fine because they have been managing their Google presence all along.
But the TrustPilot user.
The business that sank their entire annual marketing budget into a prepaid TrustPilot contract is suddenly scrambling for visibility. Diversification is literally the only defense against algorithm changes. I completely agree with the need for diversification. And honestly, a unified dashboard is an absolute dream for a small, overworked marketing team. But I have to defend the optics one last time.
Go for it.
SocialPilot is a B2B SaaS tool, meaning it's software sold directly to businesses to run their back-end operations. It's not something a regular consumer would ever browse on a Sunday afternoon.
True.
A shopper sees the TrustPilot logo and feels a visceral sense of safety entering their credit card details.
Yeah.
Consumers do not know what SocialPilot is, and frankly, they don't care.
Fair enough.
SocialPilot helps you manage the background mechanics brilliantly, but it does not give you that instantly recognizable front-facing badge of honor to drive immediate sales.
And that is the ultimate strategic trade-off every single business owner has to weigh. Are you paying for the back-end utility to securely manage your brand everywhere? Or are you paying a steep premium for the front-end prestige of one specific, highly recognized logo?
So what does this all mean? We have debated the heavy brand power of TrustPilot against the agile, multi-platform utility of competitors like FIFO and SocialPilot. Let's synthesize this down to the core takeaways for you, listening right now.
Well, Trustpilot is undeniably the heavyweight champion of brand recognition. It brings massive, immediate credibility to a checkout page.
It really does.
And because of its strict, non-negotiable authenticity guidelines, forcing verified user profiles and banning all incentives, when a business actually earns a 5-star rating there, it carries real defensible weight.
Well,
But that weight comes at a severe operational cost. It operates on a highly rigid, expensive 12-month prepaid model charged per domain that can absolutely drain a growing company's cash flow before a single sale is even made.
so whether you are prepping for a marketing meeting to pitch a new software stack, or you're running a lean startup trying to optimize your conversion rates, or even if you're an analyst auditing corporate budgets, you really have to look past the shiny 5 stars. You have to align your reputation strategy directly with your actual cash flow.
Exactly. You have to make a definitive choice about your infrastructure. Do you need the recognizable premium badge that Trustpilot provides to validate a high-ticket product to skeptical buyers?
Or does your operation desperately need a centralized multi-platform utility tool like SocialPilot or FIFO to efficiently manage diverse conversations happening all over the internet?
It is essentially the difference between buying a massive billboard in Times Square versus buying a state-of-the-art switchboard to actually answer all your incoming phone calls.
Both have distinct value, but you better know exactly which one your business requires before you sign a binding 12-month contract.
Absolutely. And, looking at how much money and effort goes into just displaying these text reviews, it leaves you with a really fascinating question to think about.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if businesses are paying thousands of dollars a year upfront in mandatory contracts just to properly showcase their reviews, are consumers actually trusting the business itself, or are they simply trusting the size of that business's marketing budget?